the story that I'm picking up. You probably will, be drawn to it to read yourself. And as you have these things, as we go on, you see how irrelevant they may be, or how relevant they may be as we go on making all the suggestions. We move on to 12 spies sent to Canaan. This is Canaan, where they sent spies to look at the land. Now, Canaan is a land that was promised to who? The people of Israel through Moses. God promised that land, that He's going to give them a land for them to live in when He took them or saved them from all the hands of the Egyptians. Now, you know my view about the Egypt issue and the Jewish people and the Israelis. Now, if you look at it this way, it says in 25, it says, and they returned from spying out the land after 40 days. They actually went there to spy the land. There were people living on that land. There were people living on that land. Okay? And Jehovah Jehovah, which is meant to be seen as the Almighty God, made that land. He created that land. If He is Almighty God, He created that land. Now He's sending the Jewish people to go and live in the land that another people have plowed and tilled and took care of the land. He never picked them chose those people like He chose the Jewish people. But He has in every way placed them Himself in that situation to let them understand that that land He is going to give it to them. Today we have a charismatic movement which believes or moves along the same line. And we had the same thing from the very colonialism attitude towards other countries, which they end up colonizing other people, or the same strategy or the same way, inspired spiritually and physically inspired. They feel that whatever out there, they have to go and take it. But what the Bible presents here is even much worse. The Almighty God Himself is leading a whole group of people to take over another people's land or another people's property. This is what it's about. He has promised them a land. Now, the universe was still the same universe. In fact, there was still probably a more bigger space of land compared to today, because population has grown. Population has grown and big land. Yet, with all the land in this universe that God has got, that Jehovah has got, which were most of them were even empty. Nobody was living on it. We have got good plantation. They could have done everything. Rather, somebody's land, another people's land that they have discovered that He has put them there to live there, He's taking it from them and giving it to other people. Why? Is it out of envy? Because He can give it to them. That is why He's giving it to them. But what about the other people? God says that He is good. He's not discriminative. He loves everybody equally. Those that He picked, those He has not picked. But every suggestion of the Jewish worship and their God is demonstrating an anger and some state of separation, and that they are better or they are more unique. So this caused people to sort of start generating this envy and anger towards them during that times of which they suffered a lot. They're just a group of nation, a group of people, and they have been through a lot. Like an African has been through a lot. They have been through a lot. They have that within the history. When you read their history, if these histories are true about them, then you can imagine what they've been through. But here was a spirit that was leading them into that kind of state. This is very confusing to me. Almighty God should not put Himself in that situation or put people into that situation. If He sends you there and He puts you into that, what do you call it? He is sending you to Canaan and take a land where people already have plowed it and they take control. They live there. They ended up in that land. They owned it. It's theirs now. And then you said, no, I will let my people go and take it. They are your people and they are not your people. It is clearly known that from all this act of God, from the act of God of the Jewish way of, what the Jewish God was, Jehovah in every way was out there encouraging His worshippers and His creation to sort of go, His people to follow, to sort of have the knowledge of, a practice of It's okay to take other people's things. It's okay to sort of take over. If I say go and take it, you can take it. Well, hey, there's nothing okay about that. But that is the implication. That's what they had. And in such a situation, those people will find it at ease to do that. Today, you can see people high sense of envy on other people's achievements. Even countries of whatever, it could be an African country, a third world country, a first world country, whatever class of country it may be, in Britain, America, whichever. We all set aside and look for places which are good that we may go to live there. This is the story, not presenting it as simple as that. People are trying to see greener pastures from another. No, he's trying to tell them that they should take over. He's going to take over another man's country. So that drive that we have is the same drive that sometimes happens today. People have the envy. They go into another man's country and they truly want to take over everything, in the sense that they want to sort of take it, in a sense that the idea of people thinking that it's because of the land, because of the place they are, that is why they are succeeding. So if we're able to take over, we come here, we'll enjoy the best of it. So whether it's spirit that led them there, whichever way it is, however we can conquer and take over this place. This place is better for us than where we are. Because whatever place that you may be coming from equally can be the same. You probably haven't put the effort enough. But if you are to exchange the whole Africans and bring them here to Europe and take all the Europeans to Africa, if we're able to do that sort of research and discover the truth, we will see whether Europe will still look Europe, and we'll see whether Africa will still look Africa. They probably will turn Africa around and make it look so beautiful, and we will turn away and envy that one to want to go back there, go there, and then ask them to come back to Europe. And people have suggested that before. I remember I used to think that myself. That is that if that happens, would the Africans prove that they are able to maintain this one? Even coming here to Europe, we are only to maintain it. We are not even to create it. We are due to maintain it because it's already been built, heavily built, nicely built. So if Africans were to move from the continent and come to Europe, and all the Europeans go back to Africa, what will happen? Would Africans be able to make Europe more better, and would the Europeans be able to transform the African worst state to make it a better continent? Probably yes. They did this, then they can do that one too. So we probably put it that way and see. Or if they are not able to do it, then that means that it is not the people who is making the African country fall, but it is the land, the location. If we Europeans go there, they start feeling lazy and they are not able to think straight, then we know that somehow experiment will prove that somehow something down there in the continent, which is the continent, which it could be the weather or could be anything, does not help the Africans to think the way the Europeans are thinking. That could be the good answer. I'm hoping if it's possible to give that thing a go. If the world become one, we say, okay, we want to make Africa better, but we want all the leaders, everybody in Europe, everybody, move them to Africa. And let all the Africans come to Europe. Let's see. We want to discover why they cannot develop. Why can't they move on? Why can't Africa become as good a country? And we'll find out. But I don't know, this is just a suggestion, maybe, because that's the way I think we can find out why Africans are not moving on. And if it's our fault, it will come out. That such a research will prove. And if it isn't our fault, the people of Africa, it's not their fault that they cannot progress, then that one also will be proof. They only have to figure out why then. You see that the environmental change will make the Europeans, will still keep the Europeans in a state of high-minded, state with hierarchies that they can still progress. We'll see if this going to be possible. But I don't think so. Maybe it's going to work, maybe not. Anyway, the idea of going to take another people's land, giving it to somebody, while there are so many lands there, and God could have give them a land full of all the things that they were there in Canaan.